Hey guys, Brent Hull Build Show in Mason County, down in the hill country of Texas. This thing burnt down. It's being restored. We're doing all the woodwork. Come join me. Check it out today on the Build Show. Okay, so we're down in the hill country of Texas. It's Mason County, a couple hours from Austin. There's wineries, there's other cool stuff going on down here. But this courthouse, crazy story, burnt down. One of a defendant didn't like the ruling and basically burned the courthouse to the ground. So it's a stone building. It dates from the early 1900s. And a lot of the woodwork on the first floor was salvageable, especially the windows, you'll see that. And then the second floor, all the windows are new. And so we're doing the floors, the courtroom furniture, the doors, the windows, the trim, all that stuff. We're probably 25% into this thing. You'll see the roof's still being put on, but come check out the inside. Okay, so active construction site, got my hard hat on and safety vest. Basically, you're looking at kind of this first floor, which is where we're going to check out. You're going to see some windows that we've restored right here in this first floor. And then over there are some steel windows, some hollow steel windows that we've restored. They were total pain. It was unbelievable how hard they were. But you'll see a little bit of that. And then you can peek on that top floor and we'll go around the other side and look in. We got some new windows going in up there. So that's the courtroom up there on that right side. Okay, so now we're on the south end, and those first floor windows are hollow metal, okay? And so they are pretty typical in like the records room where they didn't want the records to burn. You'd have steel doors and steel windows, and this goes back to even the 1880s, 1890s. This is an early 1900s building. Then you see my guys up there on the second floor. We're putting in a double arched window, and that's the courtroom up there, and we're gonna be doing all those windows around the outside. I wanted to walk up kind of close so you could see what's happening. Basically, you have the chicken wire glass, right? So that's a safety glass for fire and everything else. And then you see our putty glazing around the outside. So if you look up, you kind of see the notch up there in that upper sash, showing that it's hollow metal. But the safety glass, that chicken wire glass, is a really typical thing on safety windows, on metal windows, on turn of the century buildings. But you see our glazing. As soon as that dries, we'll be painting that and kind of finalizing these windows. Bunch of different stuff happening. Let's go inside, check it out. Okay, so we're just in the entry, right? Look at the burn damage, look at the wood damage that's taken place because of that fire on this level. You can still smell the smoke as it's coming out of this thing. And even looking on the other side, you can see, you know, the damage with the heat that was in here. Now, come in here, what you see happening in here is this is a stairwell, which is pretty cool. It goes up to the judge's bench. And sometimes they have these escape routes in some of these old courthouses. So the visiting judge, if there was a dangerous situation, he'd actually be able to get out, kind of a sneak out. I'm not sure that that's what that one is, but there are courthouses we've worked on where they've had that. What you see here in most of the first floor is restored windows, okay? So we have taken these original frames, we've got them working again. You can see the weight pocket inside here with the weights. The sash are over at our other sites, but you can see the weight that goes in that weight pocket. There's a weight pocket cover, right, that goes over top of this that fits in right there. And then these weights slide up and down inside this weight pocket. So when the building's ready, we're gonna put our sash in. We've got the pulleys out. We've kind of cleaned and prepped the outside of it, but now we're gonna finish the inside of it, get these sash working again, and really the frames are ready. We're just waiting for the sash. In here are those hollow metal frames I was telling you about, and look what's happening here. We've got steel doors here, right? So this was, you know, records rooms and kind of safety equipment, safety stuff in here that they didn't want to burn. You come in here, it's solid masonry on the inside. There's no woodwork in here. And then we get into these hollow metal sashes. Now, what happens is that now you're seeing that glass. These are a little bit odd. We've worked on hollow metal frames. There's Dahlstrom and another company that makes them. These are kind of a weird hybrid. They're very difficult to move and kind of get going again, but they're built in place. And so what was difficult is there's no screws on the face of this thing, so you couldn't take the mold cover off to get these in here we had to actually cut and replace parts, actually redo the metal in the jamb so that we could get these out. And so it was kind of one of those things that in the early 1900s, there's number of companies that were making these kind of sash that were safety sash or fire sash and other things like that, but some of them were better than others, and this one we had a tough time with. So I just wanted to show you what a frame looks like, or what a masonry opening looks like before the frame goes in there. You can see our wood blocking, which would attach to the sill, which would stop right here. But you see this notch, right? My jamb will sit out here, the brick mold, and inside this pocket is my weight pocket, right? That's where the weights go up and down. But it has to be kind of open like this so that the frame can fit. And if you look right here, where the chisel marks have gone, where they've chiseled away that stone to make room for it, and then when you walk over here and look at these sash, right? You can see that my jamb goes right to the stone here, right? My jamb is stuck inside, but I've got room for that weight pocket because they've chiseled out that little notch and made room for our frame. So that's pretty typical the way historic windows would get set inside a masonry frame, especially old windows that require that weight pocket. They're notched out like that, meaning you can't take the window out from the outside, right? It's got to come out from the inside, and taking off the brick mold won't allow you to get it. It's got to come out from the inside, which is one of the challenges, one of the fun things that you learn about historic buildings, and by experience you kind of understand how those things are put together. One of the things we had to do was we had to restore a frame and get it approved. So this would be a sample that we would do for the architect, for everybody to look at. You can see, I mean, there's a lot of dust on it, but you can see the stain colors we put back in here, the working sash, and getting that operable again, right? The way it would have gone. No interior trim yet, right? But this is what an example of the final window is going to look like. Now, look what else is going on in here, right? We've got steel framed walls on the other side where things burnt out. These are original walls that are going to stay in place, but we still have trim, we still have floors, we still have doors, right? I mean, look at the frame on the outside of that door. You can still see the original burned out stuff that was going on here. So there's still evidence of a lot of that, bad stuff that was going on there, but we've got a lot of work still to do, right? We will kind of finish sealing up the outside, get in our windows. They're taking down the scaffolding soon. But then we'll start coming inside, then we'll start running new baseboard. So there's a chair rail in here, and you can see evidence of things like this, and those are grounding blocks, and those are blocks that are actually put into the masonry so you'd have something to nail to. So there's a high chair rail that goes in here, but still a lot of work. But I wanted you guys to see it, kind of where we are, what's going on, kind of the nature of these historic restoration projects and what they look like, and all the work that goes into them. They make them and take them back to that time when they were just these wonderful historic gems that say so much and tell us so much about our history. Okay guys, Mason County Courthouse. One of the reasons I love historic buildings is because they communicate the story of the town, right? The story of this county and the story of this area, right? You see on this building, this kind of gray and brown limestone, sandstone. You see it on that building. You see it on the courthouse. And so what's going on here? Well, native stones and native materials were pretty typical in the early 1900s, and certainly earlier, when importing stone or bringing stone a long way was impossible before there was trains, before there was, semi-trailers and things like that. So you really get a glimpse of what the community was like, what the natural materials were. And so there's a great narrative, a great story being told here. We're just getting started on this courthouse. It's really fun. Great project to work on. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Hull Millwork, Hull Homes. There's a lot of stories and stuff on there that we're doing on projects like this. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. I'm Brent Hull. Thanks for watching.